I went to a Nubu on that state in the enlightened interest of the Yorubas. What many people of you don't know, especially those of us who started the battle from the beginning. We have all been oppressed by the section of the northern people. And the clamor the Igbos are now talking about is all our clamor. The Igbos are fighting an enemy they cannot defeat alone. The enemy is also oppressing the Yorubas, and the Yorubas cannot defeat them alone. But by the time the Yorubas and the Igbos combine together, we will send away the enemy. That's common sense. So the question of asking across the Niger, I always say it's not a favor to the Igbos. It's a system in our own enlightened self-interest. If we really believe in the unity of this country on the basis of equality, it is not a favor at all. And I must warn those who don't want this unity to exist, and I'm now talking to our Igbo friends, you must take care that our enemies will be putting a lot of issues to separate us, and you must try to kill it. There is no doubt that both the Igbos and Yorubas in the past were forfeited ourselves in one form or the other due to misunderstanding. In this short program. But if you don't forget all that, you'll be missing the point. The enemies will be happy. What must get straight is that the Fulanis who are dominating the country today have been successful on the principle of divide and rule. When your Yoruba says you don't have anything to do with the Igbos, they're only thinking of when the northern people are using the Igbos against the Yorubas without their knowledge. But as far as the Yorubas are concerned, I know from the beginning that we can't avoid being an enemy to the Igbos. We must find our presence jointly. But unfortunately, that happened. Now they want to use the Yorubas against the Igbos. Those of us who lived through the period of separation, they caused the dissension between Awolowo and Akinola. And we know the result today. I'm old enough to, I was present. It's not a question of being told the story. And we know all that passed all along. All the time they tried to bring dissension between the Igbos and the Yorubas, we know what has been the result. And what many people don't know is that even before independence, at the election, Shifaulo offered someone. I'm repeating it often time. Don't go with these northerners. I will serve under you. It's on record. Who is out telling us that we don't like them? Unfortunately, the colonialists and all that got in. And I think, I must say rightly now, we need to retrospect. If Dr. Ziko were alive, we now know that he made an error of judgment by going with the North. If the action group at the NCSC had combined at that time, we would have formed the government. But that is gone. My view now is that we don't do into the past about the errors of either side. What is the way forward? The way forward for us to join together for the unity of this country. And then when you talk about the question of structuring, I want to bring all this argument together whether anything can arise after the question. And as Iba said, and I think the co-operator was trying to get him wrong, but he got himself right later. It is not the question of self-determination we are after. And I have always said it too that anybody opposing restructuring is an enemy of the United Nigeria. And I even pinpointed that Buhari is an enemy of the country by not restructuring. But if you don't restructure, this country can't stay. That's a main statement of fact. And that arises from what Iba said. And I repeat, I am not opposed to self-determination. But the self-determination is the last resort. After making all the attempts that we will come together on the basis of equality, we are not going to beg to be part of Nigeria. And I've often repeated, and I repeat it again if I'm right. I hope the card is around. I said, all the laws you are accusing Mr. Abdulkadir on, if you restore, we pipe down. And many of us talk to him, what will he get? And those who know, I have said what to him before, when it was too much around on the same time. Look, calm down. If the government of the day is reasonable enough to restructure this country now on the basis of true federalism, and I would like to repeat and remind people, we are not a letter-day federalists. From the word go, before independence, our leadership has always been telling us, you cannot keep this country together under a uniform form of government. He published that book in 1947, Path to Nigerian Freedom. And when they brought in the Manifesto Constitution under a uniform form of government, he repeated it that it can work. And that was the aftermath of the motion in 1953 for self-government for Nigeria, which caused a crisis. It was that crisis that led Los Santos to summon all the leaders of Nigeria at that time, Azikwe, Saudana, Awolowo, Balewa, and others to London, because the constitution then has collapsed. And then Awolowo educated them and repeated, I told you, don't give us a unity form of government. This crisis will continue until you give us a federal constitution. And that is where federalism was established for us in 1954. On the of that constitution, they created a premiership in all the regions. And that was when Zimbabwe persuaded Ghana to stay in Nigeria. Because Ghana said it was going away after the motion of self-government, when it was hooted in Lagos by the people when you opposed the self-government motion for 1956. Yeah, that was the same time we made the statement Araba, and we published the 9-point program. All this is in history. The SNC and the Action Group, they were unanimous on the question of self-government. It was, although there was for a unity form of government, which was an anathema to South Ghana. But after the London Constitutional Conference, I would have told them, we cannot stay under a unity form of government. And they agreed. And for those conditions, we had our independent constitution on. The question of revenue allocation was settled. The question of local government was settled. What is the position for the house asking for was settled. Chibaura became the premier. I was another premier. I was going to premier in this. Before then, it was neither government business or they had other malfasting constitution. I have to go to this back into issue because a lot of problem we are having now is self-inflicted by the northern hegemony. And I often refer to it that Buhari, who is being insistent on this question of 1999 constitution, is he more intelligent? Is he more educated? Is he more Fulanis than Saudana? If you don't understand what restructuring is, go back to the independent constitution. On the arrival, on the coming back from London Constitutional Conference of 1954, because the federal constitution was late, we had federalism, and to each extent, the autonomy was to extend that each region had an office outside Nigeria. Western Nigeria took advantage of the autonomy of the Western region and opened an embassy in London. 15A sitting Palace Garden. We are the first to exercise the autonomy. And I have the privilege that it was in that embassy that I got married in 1960. These are all the advantages of autonomy. These are all the advantages that we experienced, we fought for. That is why I have a deep passion for this restructuring. Not because there's anything special, because I knew the beginning. And when we had that self-government in 1956, you know that government said they cannot have, they're not prepared for self-government. And the colonial office to settle us, well, those who want self-government can have it. The East and the West opted for it. The North said they are not ready until 1959. Say, okay. So, but that autonomy we had under the 1954 Constitution gave us a lot of autonomy. All the question of revenue allocation and all this was settled. And it was when the Northern region now had the self-government in 1959 that we are granted as independent in 1960. That is the background, that is the issue of our country. Until the military came, the problem we are having now is military created. It is the constitution the military gave us that we are having that is causing this trouble. It is they who change the revenue allocation system. They created local government arbitrarily. They created the state arbitrarily, and based the number of states they created on the way they are going to have a derivation of revenue. Hence, the people are cheated. We have been another 50%. When we have the northern western region had cocoa, northern region had Ghana, eastern region had palm kernel. And even when oil was discovered, it was still 50% until the military came. The present system we are using is created by the military, and that is why Igbos is there. So all this is the background. So when everybody is talking of we are going to have development of this, you will not have anything until you restructure this country to federalism, where every region have the autonomy. And when we say go back to independent constitution, some people want to confuse us and say, I'm going to go back to 3 regions. No. After all, politics is dynamic. We are only going to have the number of regions of states according to the content of what we have in the independent constitution. The part that we are given to the center will be given to the number of states we agree upon or regions we agree upon, and there'll be peace. But the people who say they don't know, they just don't believe them that they don't know. They're just being mischievous. Because they know that under this constitution, they are cheating the rest of the country. That is enough. And I've accused Buhari before. What many of you too are living in denial. Instead of telling the man point blank that you don't love this country. All the leaders of the country today have been telling him, restructure this country. He remains stubborn. And he continues to give us all this unnecessary killing, unnecessary bloodshed. So it's in the interest of everybody that we restructure. But if the northern region say they are not going to go back to what Adama said. Go back. I won't live in this country under this constitution. And I'd like to warn the Igbos too here. They are being deceived. If you agree, you make you president. They are just deceiving you. And they are deceiving Tinubu now. I won't make any story about it at all. Under this constitution, if you agree, allowed to go in election and say you are going to have presidency, you are deceiving yourself. And I want to make it clear again. If you make my son the president under this constitution, I will oppose him. Because it's not fair. How can you have a constitution, a system where you say a section of the country cannot be president, and you want the country to change the federation? Madam, I'm an embittered Nigerian for what Buhari is doing for us. We are suffering for no just cause. If you agree to equitable thing, there will be no problem. Give us all this regional autonomy. And those who are in the north, the minorities in the north, who are good to a region, give them the choice to have a referendum where they want to be. The lot of Yoruba land and group in the north, it's not right. These are all the things we say we will do under restructuring. Go back to constitutional conference. And there are no product that can have better than 2040 constitution. And when they handed it over to you, they say, well, put it to that kind. What does he even know? It's unfortunate we have to be saying this about our president. If anybody knows the problem of this country, will he say putting the recommendation of 2040 aside? And this confirms what I've been saying about it, that our president doesn't appreciate the country. And those of us who are talking about federalism, about unity, we have been talking about it when he was a toddler. The action grew at the Yorubas and the West and the Eastern region have been on this question of federalism as far back as 70 years ago. I have been talking about it since 1950. Our age of state is only 74. It's a toddler day. In 1979, I spent 1 year in Boko Haram area in Maiduguri preaching unity for Nigeria. And now telling me he's keeping the Nigeria together. How can you come and preach unity to me now, when you have been doing when we were still in school? In Boko Haram, where they said that I was there for 1 year in Maiduguri. The UPN had the candidate there, Paul Bassi. He died about a month or two ago. And then come on, don't go and tell us that you want to separate the country. That's why you want to do this. More than that. But let me warn the Igbos and then ourselves. They will like to be putting all those back to our unity. You must turn your deaf ears to it. There's no doubt that you tell you to go to the Yorubas, they do this for you. They go to the Igbos, they do this for you. Just tell them whatever has been done in the past is past. As far as we are concerned now, way forward, it is what put us together we're going to talk about. And that's the reality of the thing. Anybody talking about any progress, any election, about anything in this country now, you don't restructure now, you are looking for the separation of the division of the country. No more.
So thank you very much for that intervention. Obviously, your summary is, and I want every Igbo person here to take this away. Pa Ayo Adebanjo, once more, my sincere thank you for your intervention. And your message is very clear that Igbos should ignore any call for them to quit Lagos. That is not the reflection and the ideals of what the Yoruba nation stand for. And that must be amplified. And on the other hand, you made mention of the Independence Constitution, or what some people, as we have seen in the other engagement we once had, where you explicitly said the 1963 Constitution, which some others said, well, if we want to, we have to come and tell them what we mean by restructuring. On the other hand, and they also said, well, they will still support the 1963 Constitution. But either way, one thing is very clear, that the current constitution and the current structure is not working. And you clearly also said that if this is not forthcoming, that you will be a reluctant, a supporter for self-determination. But if push comes to shove, you do not have any opposition for that. Thank you, and I can't thank you enough. On that note, my good friend, Chief Dele Mahmoud, please can you take the floor, and let's see if Professor Patitumi or Onye Konwenu is back on. Thank you very much, Chief, once more.
Thank you, Mazi Ezioke. Thank you for a job well done. And thank you, our Baba. For those who may not know, Baba is well into his 90s now and is as vibrant as ever. He was one of those in those days that suffered so much, went to prison with Chief Bafemi Awolowo. So you can imagine if after, I mean, they've been fighting before I was born, and Baba is still as passionate as ever. Thank you, Baba, and God bless you.